Welcome to A2Council Update, a recap of the Ann Arbor City Council meeting on November 21st, 2022. My name is Elizabeth Nelson, and I served on Ann Arbor City Council from 2018 to 2022. I understand the inner workings of our local government, and I believe that you should too. This week marked the first meeting of a new city council, 5 members elected in 2020 and 5 members elected in 2022. Every member of the new City Council was elected with the endorsement and support of Mayor Christopher Taylor. This week, Councilmember Travis Radina was appointed Mayor Pro Tem. This first meeting lasted about 45 minutes, including the swearing in of new members, introductory remarks, and public comments. This is the voting chart for the City Council meeting on November 21st, 2022. All items were approved unanimously. You can find this voting chart and more information about this meeting at A2Council.com. 4 people signed up in advance to offer public comments. 2 commenters welcomed the new council members. 2 others urged council to more seriously consider the consequences of DC-3, a 20-year lease for the aviation center at the Ann Arbor Municipal Airport.
And my main concern is that we should table that because I think there's some major concerns. I have not been able to see the lease itself because it's not public record yet. And so I don't really even know the very specifics, but I know the generalities of it. And so I'm very concerned that the bid that has been proposed that shows all kinds of services, the ones that we currently produce and been producing for 43 years, will probably be relegated to another location, since this particular operator does have another location in Mason, and it will not technically be services to the general public on the airport specifically. I'm also somewhat disappointed in having been there for 43 years. My lease ran out where I had to forfeit the building to the city, which is a value of about $750,000, and yet I'm not being allowed to. I was told specifically I could not, they would not give me another lease. And that if I went through the RFP bids, that 2 of them were put out, that I would not be considered during that period of time. I do not understand that factor. I'm trying to leave the business. I'm trying to retire, and I'd like to leave the business to someone who will continue everything in place, employees, and the services. And I'm afraid that with this other lease, that will not happen.
My name is Terry Brown. I have been a very long-time user of this airport for more than 40 years as a pilot, flight instructor, and designated pilot examiner. I am very well acquainted with Mark Rosen and the Aviation Center, the current tenant of this corporate hangar. I, along with many of my customers, have relied upon Mr. Rosen for many years to repair, improve, and maintain many of the corporate and personal aircraft that I fly. The current tenant brings a large volume of business to the airport as well as to the Ann Arbor community. If his lease is given to another operation and he is put out of business after 43 years at Ann Arbor, we will lose all of this business. I urge you to not make a hasty decision, but to research the matter more thoroughly and to do what is best for all concerned. Thank you for your consideration.
The consent agenda included 8 items with expenditures of $1.3 million. Nothing was pulled for discussion. The whole of the consent agenda was approved unanimously. These are highlights of council deliberation this week. The appointment of Mayor Pro Tem included about 2 minutes of council discussion.
I am honored that all of you, my new colleagues, have placed your trust in me to serve in this important leadership role for our city, and I welcome the opportunity to expand my service to this council and the community we all love. I am particularly humbled to be selected by the current composition of City Council, which as of this evening has become the most diverse in our city's history. The magnitude of that honor and the responsibility that comes with it is not lost on me, nor is it lost on me that I will have the opportunity to serve as our city's first openly gay Mayor Pro Tem in over 2 decades since Chris Colblast held this role.
A resolution directing the city administrator to engage with federal officials about redevelopment of the downtown Federal Building was discussed for about 3 minutes.
This resolution merely asks the city administrator to conduct some exploratory conversations with the federal government about doing something different with what some people call the GSA building, but what I have always thought of as the post office. So this is the site at 200 East Liberty Street, as we all know, And it is possible that this site would be a greater benefit to the community if it were programmed for different uses. Currently, it does not conform with the zoning requirements for downtown buildings, and it does not currently provide sufficient density of office space. It has, as we know, no housing, and it's not configured in a way to be terribly inviting to pedestrians. In fact, it's kind of a trip hazard.
A grant application and funding for the city's comprehensive stormwater management plan was discussed for about a minute and a half and also approved unanimously. A plan for the commercial use of city-owned fiber optic networks was not discussed by council, but staff offered 5.5 minutes of explanation.
Again, the city does not intend to be an ISP. And what type of entities do we expect to be able to activate the dark fiber? And there was an example about a neighborhood group that could potentially enter into a lease with us. First of all, the purpose of this resolution is to really make this available to anybody that is willing to enter into an agreement that would benefit our community. And so entities that would be able to take advantage of it would be ISPs, it could be businesses, it could be education, it could be nonprofit, and it could be community groups. There are companies out there that will go into neighborhoods, and what they will do is they will extend the fiber from where they will extend our fiber out to the neighborhoods and then provide access. But the important thing is they'll be able to provide the ISP type services that the communities need. So that is the hope, that is the goal, that this fiber will make it more it will make it more attractive to people to use it, because we're spending a lot of the capital costs up front, which makes it affordable for people to activate the fiber for communities.
Council considered a 20-year lease agreement with Beacon Aviation for the aviation center at the Ann Arbor Municipal Airport. The lease agreement gives Beacon Aviation the right of first refusal to expanding their business on vacant land to the west. Staff offered 1 minute of explanation, and council discussed it for about 2.5 minutes.
I just wanted to state my support for this resolution. And particularly when I received the memo, I was reassured to note the involvement of a local businessman, Brian Herron, who I actually know to be just someone who has a very stellar business record in our community. And I feel very comfortable supporting this resolution and going forward with this. Thank you.
Councilmember Iyer knows Brian Herron particularly well. He and his wife are Dexter residents who co-hosted Jen Iyer's campaign kickoff in 2019 with a donation of $1,000. The lease agreement was approved unanimously. The council meeting was over at 7:50 p.m., and there were no public comments at the end. At a previous meeting, council approved a new rule that eliminates unreserved public comments at the end of meetings. For more details about this meeting, and other meetings before it, visit A2Council.com. Subscribe if you'd like to be alerted to more updates like this one.